Balaji says that it's like one of the most fascinating things that he experienced in his life is like seeing Indian founders to take out their money out of the US banking system and trusting the Indian banks more. It's like a reversal, Balaji has this concept of inverted century. So it's not just like an Asian century, but it's like an inverted century, meaning like the countries that had a rough 20th century, he thinks that they kind of learned their lesson and now they will have a better 21st century. And vice versa, the Western countries, they had all these like first world problems, like kind of inventing lots of problems for themselves and like getting into these cultural fights, these culture wars. It's basically it's kind of maybe counter intuitive. It's like when people are are having it too good, they engage in these kind of culture wars.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Mtambo Desk Podcast. My name is Jakub Mtambo and today I have the pleasure of talking with Jakub, a co-founder of Se2 and an author of Wisdom Enterprising. With Jakub, we will discuss his recent article on technical truths versus social truths and the role of cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin. Welcome Jakub at Mtambo Desk Podcast.
Hi, Duke. I'm happy to see you. I'm happy that we are doing the second season of Daily Balajisms. Today I wrote my 66th article, but
Wow.
with the videos we are like catching up. And so I'm happy that we are here together.
I'm also happy for the milestone that we have managed to achieve together. From 0 to now 66 daily Balajism on the article side, but also I think 50. Would be 54 episode, if I'm not wrong.
Nice. Yeah, so it's like 2/3 of for writing and over a half of videos.
Yeah.
If we are going to 100 and then we just we just do replit, learn to code or something.
Yes. 100 days. 100 episode and 100 days, in coding. So everything in hundreds.
And then we do like, I don't know, we develop some Wazesha ads for crypto check-ins and meetups and training companies. Let's see. Let's do it.
True, sure. Well, let's start our podcast by discussing the idea of technical truths. How do you define them and what makes them different from social truths?
Yeah, right. So the technical truth is something that doesn't change based on your belief or opinion. So it's like a diameter of a virus, as an example that Balaji uses. It's like you put it on under a microscope, and it's the same if you are in South Africa, if you are in Kenya or in Slovakia or in Singapore. It's just like there might be some like differences in the environment, but if all is equal, all conditions are equal. You're observing some kind of like physical object or biological object, and it's the same. It's the same everywhere. So it's like kind of governed by the laws of symmetry. But in this context of cryptocurrencies, it's like the Bitcoin is like the cryptography of cryptocurrencies. It's governed by math, and it doesn't change based on your opinion.
Mm-hmm. So it's like technical truths are based on symmetry and are universal regardless of social hierarchy or beliefs, right?
Yes. So and exactly. And so and the opposite is like the social truth, which is like it's based on continuity and on a hierarchy and on some kind of local culture. so like I don't know, you can be, let's say, a president in one country, but in another country nobody knows you, nobody cares about you or something. You could be totally unknown. So yeah, it's like maybe a good example is like when a bird flies over a border, the bird doesn't know that, okay, this was the border. Now I crossed the border, so just the birds don't care about borders. And yeah, so but Balaji says there is a spectrum between these, like technical truth and social truth. And Bitcoin is actually somewhere in the middle, because okay, it's governed by cryptography, but it's also governed by its price is a function of how desirable it is, how people are viewing Bitcoin. So it's not just like pure technical truth.
Okay, so Bitcoin is like a unique example of something that lies, yeah, as you said, in between the technical truth and social truth. But on the other hand, Bitcoin is backed up by math and cryptography, which are technical truths. But also, on the other hand, Bitcoin values and utility also depend on the collective beliefs of its user, which are social truth. So it's an interesting case study that studies both sides, right? Both world.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but I don't think, I mean, it's not unique in a way that probably, like other, there are many like things that can be viewed similarly, like the various technologies. Probably the US dollar, it's also a technological stack, it's like underpinned by something like Swift, some like, so by the regulators, and like, so yeah, but it's it's a spectrum. So like the dollar is more towards the social truth, so like, but it's not like pure fiction, but it's also, there is some kind of like utility there, and some kind of like technical underpinning.
Well, okay, that's a good good explanation. Jakub. Balaji also urged people to buy Bitcoin and hold it locally to protect themselves from the central bank and fiat crisis. Can you maybe try to elaborate or stress on his stance?
Yeah, so this is like from this, like his point of technical truth versus social truth. He's like now using this concept to like derive another term. It's like technical defense and social defense. So the technical defense is like using cryptography and like, yeah, so using or buying Bitcoin in these times that he calls a fiat crisis. So we might be on the verge of something that it's not just like a financial crisis 2.0 or a banking crisis, but Balaji says is a central bank crisis, or like even fiat crisis. So like the countries in the West will be facing fiat crisis soon. That's what he thinks. Arthur Hayes has a similar opinion, but he puts the probability more like towards like it's gonna happen in a couple of years, maybe 2 years, but not like in 3 months or 2 months or something like that. So yeah, so but in this case, you want to have you don't want to be stuck with something that Arthur Hayes calls the inside money. So the money inside the system, but you want to have an outside money, And so Arthur Hayes gives an example of you want to have something like a store of energy, like an oil, but oil is like it's like toxic, or it's like heavy, and it's big volumes, you don't want to store it in your house or outside of your house. So you want to have like something like a virtual oil, and so Bitcoin can be seen as a money battery or virtual oil, or a power projection tool, so it's yeah, so you want to have something like that it's like digital gold, and so that's Bitcoin or crypto in more generally.
So that means the technical defense, which means like buying now the Bitcoin and put them off, or remove them off exchanges and put them secure in a local, say, hard had I mean wallet, or also like purchasing, maybe purchasing different
exactly. Sorry, I lost you a
fiats.
bit. Yeah, but like yeah, so it's like exactly. So like also like for example, I had like let's say I had a few some money, like just let's say not too much, but okay, I had it like on Coinbase or Kraken. And as we discussed also before, like for example, I found like one of my banks. Like I mean, I have two, just like, and then I'm lucky that I have like at least two Slovak banks, right? And then another service like Revolut. So, but like one of my banks that I was a customer of since I was a 15-year-old kid. So VUB Bank. So they had the bank had a Kraken exchange on a blacklist for some reason. I don't know why. I called them and they told me, and so, but I was fine buying money with, I mean, sorry, buying crypto using Coinbase, right? But then they also put it on a blacklist. So just recently, just about the time when Balaji was tweeting about his bit signal alarm. And so yeah, and then I was like, okay, this is strange, but luckily I have another bank that was okay, but it's like, so this Operation Choke Point 2.0 is also happening in Europe, obviously. And yeah, and it's very sad. So but like, okay, yeah, you don't want to just get stuck having your crypto on on some kind of a stock exchange, oh sorry, a crypto exchange, or like some service like Revolut, where you can't even take out the crypto. You just can't, you can buy it there, but you have to take out fiat. So yeah, I mean, being pragmatic, also as Balaji is, it's there is a utility in using these kind of services, but you also need to know the risks, the counterparty risk. It's like after FTX, everybody kind of knows that there are some risks involved, and
Yeah.
it wasn't the first exchange to fall. But yeah, but right. But after that, like, okay, I took much of those money, I mean, I sold many of those cryptocurrencies into Bitcoin, and I purchased something called Trezor. So it's like a hardware wallet, and I put it there. It's actually made in Czech Republic. And
Yeah,
since,
okay.
like I have this, I wasn't that great at saving. I'm getting a bit better, but just very bit. And I'm also like, kind of believe that the money should flow, so I'm not a big holder, but like anyhow, it's always good to put to buy some sats and to hold it. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's yeah.
Yeah, but also Balaji also I think adds also like in case if you don't you're unable maybe to purchase say digital gold, that is Bitcoin, and put it say in the hardware wallet or cold wallet. I mean, then it's good also to diversify your accounts. Say, for example, you can open your accounts in other countries or in other jurisdictions which are not affected. Like, for example, we'd say right now, America is being affected by banking crisis or fiat crisis. So you could open like accounts, for example, outside the US, for example, in India. And he also said like even some of the Indian founders also, he saw like a big big transfer of money from like their US accounts to the Indian bank accounts. So yeah, so that's another thing. Maybe I think it's very important to also to say.
Yeah, right. It's Balaji says that it's like one of the most fascinating things that he experienced in his life is like seeing Indian founders to take out their money out of the US banking system and trusting the Indian banks more. It's like a reversal. Balaji has this concept of inverted century. So it's not just like an Asian century, but it's like an inverted century, meaning like the countries that had a rough 20th century, he thinks that they kind of learned their lesson and now they will have a better 21st century. And vice versa, the Western countries, they had all these like first world problems, like kind of inventing lots of problems for themselves and like getting into these cultural fights, these culture wars. It's basically it's kind of maybe counter intuitive. It's like when people are are having it too good, they engage in these kind of culture wars. It's like not it's not always just like when people are like struggling a lot, but I don't know, I guess these culture wars are everywhere, so it's like yeah, but it's like civilizational obesity, calls it Balaji. It's just like yeah, it's it takes like it's very Western countries are very slow to build infrastructure and to kind of keep infrastructure running. Like in the US, you see like these wildfires, you see yeah, like power outages. So it's kind of getting it's like Balaji talks about the declining world and the ascending world. So some parts of the US are kind of like a declining world like San Francisco, some are like ascending world like Miami. So like yeah, but as you said, like it's good to have to think about like what Taleb calls anti-fragility. So it meaning another word for it is also optionality, or it's kind of related word. So like if you have like let's say yeah, as you said, like you have let's say just like one Bitcoin Lightning kind of wallet or client, it's then you are let's say more fragile than if you have like three or four. And something similar if you have just like Uber app to call an Uber, but if you have like Bolt or I don't know in the US Lyft or some other services, then you are like more anti-fragile, meaning like yeah, I mean, if one service fails, then you can diversify. And similar, I guess, with this kind of apps. So, like, let's say, okay, I have like the two Slovak bank accounts, and then I have like Revolut, which is connected to like a Latvian bank, and then I have like a Coinbase card, so it's like a debit card, like that wasn't working, but it's maybe it wasn't some kind of choke point. It's just I think me forgetting the PIN code. But I don't know. I have to investigate it because for some reason it didn't work twice recently. But like okay, but since I don't have much money left there, I didn't care. But yeah, but I still use Coinbase to buy some money. But I also used like an ATM recently. With we had like the Network State meetup like a month ago, and in a shopping mall, and there was this Bitcoin ATM.
Oh,
So
wow.
like I used it, but it has like a higher fees, but it's like is like up to some amount. It's like non KYC, so okay, it's just like another kind of interesting option.
Nice.
Yeah, and then there are like all these like in these Bitcoin communities. I haven't tried it yet, but it's like peer-to-peer exchanges, like in-person exchanges. It's also happening now. Yeah, and there
Okay.
is some kind of like ethical codex about it, like how much you should charge, and like about like pseudonymity, and kind of also like kind of avoiding some kind of shady people and stuff. So it's also interesting, like with these like kind of parallel societies, people exchanging money between themselves, like I don't know, a small community, let's say 20 people, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I haven't tried this one yet, but
Okay.
it's interesting.
I've tried it myself, like peer-to-peer trading.
Nice.
Like in the beginning, when I was getting into saving or investing into, say, Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So there was no, for example, exchange or SEX or CX exchange here in Kenya. So and these other ones like Coinbase, I had to undergo those long process of KYC. So it was very difficult for me. So I had to use another a peer-to-peer marketplace called Paxful. So yeah, so I made an order, or I made a bid there, and I had to call somebody, like, I put my money in the escrow, like, M-Pesa, and then so once I sell, for example, it's like, if I want to sell my Bitcoin, that is, so I put them in the escrow, and then the person who wants to buy it calls me, and then he or she sends me the money through
Cool.
M-Pesa. Yeah, So it's interesting thing, but also it has some security issues if you don't know, like, who you are dealing with. So you have to be careful sometimes, because yeah.
Yeah, and then what I was also talking about, it's like not just these like DEX, like decentralized exchanges, or like maybe this is something what you are describing, also something a bit different as well.
Yeah.
But then also like in person meet, like you are meeting
Okay.
someone in person. I haven't tried
That's
it
cool.
yet, but
I think that's secure. I mean, because if it's in person, you just do the transaction on the spot.
yeah. But
Wow.
yeah, but it might, I don't know, it might be like a good activity, it's just like
Yeah.
just like for building trust, just like some small amounts, doesn't need to be like some crazy, I don't know, something. It's just like getting used to it. It's like it's like zapping on Noster. I mean, I still haven't had time to get into it. I'm a bit slow, like with Chat GPT. It also took me a couple of months to get into it, but like, but it's like zapping or something. It's just it might sound weird, but then I
Yeah.
guess you get used to it. So this might be also like interesting, just like kind of building trust.
Yeah, it's true.
you know like having, like that could be like a one thing for the meetups, like I
Mhm.
don't know. Yeah, like a
Uh,
regular meetups. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, so yeah, we can come back, like, okay, on the social truth. I mean, the technical truth, we are saying, like, you buy Bitcoin and get them off exchanges, technical defense, that is. But also, like, if you don't have to buy the Bitcoin, then it's good to open like multiple accounts, maybe in different countries which are friendly. Maybe your fiat money will be more secure. Yeah, but I also to mention about also, like, I saw, like, European Union, they are coming up with the digital, I mean, CBDC soon. But yeah, it was interesting to see, like, they're saying, like, once they roll out that one, people will not be able to have multiple accounts, so you'll have like just one account in the whole, say, if you want, for example, you want to open another account in the other bank, it's like you'll have your identifier number, which you're given by the central bank, so it will be just the same. So it's very, and I was thinking, like, it would be very, very easy for them to control people, because if it's just one number, for example, social security number, if it's in US, but now this social security number, you can't open right now. You can open your account in multiple banks, but the other bank or the CBDs, I mean, the central bank will not be able to, say, control them at once. But at this moment now, you're seeing, like, these accounts are like being opened from, like, say, central banks. Then you're giving, for example, this identifier number, or say social security number for the case of US. But then if you want to open an account, it will be linked to that identifier. If you open like account in the, say, community banks or regional banks, it will be linked to that one. So it's interesting. I was just thinking about it, and yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's like, I think, I don't know, like I would operate under the assumption that this is already possible in today's world, like through some kind of like proprietary software for security agencies. Like they would have like a dashboard on you, like on your activities, like a data stream. Like, let's say, of all your messages, what you are typing on your devices, what transactions are you doing through various like channels. So like I think it's possible somehow to do it. Like of course the CBDC would like make it kind of like how to say, would like kind of legalize this kind of thing, with that maybe only like some security services have now, like intelligence agencies probably have like access to like this data, so it would be like more culturally normalized if people accept it. But you see already everything gets politicized, so like you get like the Florida is against CBDCs. I don't know, probably you might get also some European countries being against it, probably like Hungary or Poland, but like I don't know, you never know, because like it's like yeah, it's not very clear cut, it's like it's possible that like I don't know, Hungary is kind of playing this game like being like a bit different or more conservative, but they're not that libertarian, so like I don't know, like let's see. Or at least that's my perception, but probably Czech Republic would be like against it. They're like quite libertarian, but so let's see. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but the CBDC, the other issue is like, yeah, you could be like, I think it's like, again, it's like a spectrum. So you would be like, it would be easier to censor you probably, like unbank you, like, or yeah, or some kind of social credits system could be easier to implement, like let's say, because now the central bank would like I don't know, they would like play with I don't know, some carbon footprint calculator of your purchases. So you're like, you bought like this much meat this week, you can't buy anymore, or it says enough of petrol, enough of driving.
And it's serious, because they can decide even to like, I was, I don't know, I was listening to another podcast, and I don't know, I can't remember which one, but this guy was saying like, it reached a point where they can decide to say your money is expired, like you can use this money in this certain period of time. If you don't use it, it gets expired.
Yeah, but I think it's connected with the issue of like the helicopter money, so like you would get an airdrop like of government money, and they would say like go shopping, and it's expired in 2 days if you don't go shopping. But like in this case, it's like yeah, how do you call it in English? But okay, so it's like incentives and disincentives, or it's like yeah. So yeah, it's just like I have this Slovak saying there, but which is like a bit different. It's like we have this saying. It's like sugar versus some kind of like stick, stick and carrot and stick, right? Carrots and sticks. So yeah, it's like it's like that, So it's just like. Let's say the stick is that you would get unbanked, or I don't know, your account is suspended for 30 days. You can't use your money. It's very sad, but it's possible. Like these internal sanctions, I don't know. It's like what they did to Russians, where like the Russian nationals or their banking system. It's like the external sanctions. But I think more scarier are these like internal sanctions, like you when you do it to your own citizens, like the Canadian truckers. There were like 200 people who got this experience, so it's not like too many people, but it's still, it can grow from here. So it's like a weak signal that something is not all right. And in the EU, there were also some internal sanctions actually on some people who were like, collaborating with Russia, but they were like our citizens, So but they were not even like just let's say double citizens or something like that, But they were just like, which is a bit crazy, to do internal sanctions. You are basically like unpersoning someone, which is, it's pretty much like the China, thing. It's like. It depends, if the restrict act, which is like a related topic of like, let's say, fining and jailing people for using VPN to access TikTok videos.
Crazy.
TikTok videos of people dancing. So that would be maybe even more severe than China. So but let's say if you want to, if you acknowledge that, let's say some Chinese apps might be harmful for your national security or something, you can do what India did, and they just banned like 20 I mean, some time ago, some months ago, they banned like I think 20 apps or something like that, on the order of dozen apps or dozens of apps, and they right, and they did it on the level of like App Store or something. So you can just like ban it from the App Store in your country, and you are done. You don't need to like.
Yeah, I think that's the
punish
best way.
citizens.
Yeah, I think that's the best way. Even China did that. Like Facebook, it's not like operating in China. You know, they didn't limit their citizens from using, for example, VPN. You know.
Yeah, but you can use VPNs probably in some areas, you know, like where it's more restricted, and for some portions of population, you know, like some ethnic minorities and stuff like that. So like I bet, but they are oppressed on many other levels. So, but like for using VPN, you may end up in a labor camp, which is really not nice. Which is awful, but like the US proposing something like 20 years in prison, and like that your your assets would be like taken away. It's also crazy. And hopefully it will not pass, but just like the audacity to propose something outrageous like that, like for the US, it's a bit crazy. But anyhow, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, yeah, anyway, finally, as we wrap up this episode, Jakub, how does Bitcoin enable root cosmopolitanism, and what does it mean for the future of global trade and transaction?
So just maybe just to talk about this social defense, it's connected with your question of root cosmopolitanism, but okay, the social defense is like what you said at the beginning. It's just like to have like multiple options, or to increase your optionality of like through working with various jurisdictions. Like if you are a Web3 founder or a crypto company, you probably want to ink deals with various jurisdictions that present themselves as crypto friendly. It can be a county, a country, a city, you know, it's some kind of level of a sovereign. So let's say maybe in Kenya, it could be some counties, but it could be cities like Dubai. You know, actually, Brian Armstrong is in. I don't know if you know, if you've seen it on Twitter, but the CEO of Coinbase, I mean, the founder of Coinbase is.
Yeah, I saw it. Like he's trying to move Coinbase to Dubai. You know, I saw that one.
So offshore. So like he was like meeting the minister of economy there at United Arab Emirates, which is interesting. You know?
But
these things are happening. You know, it's like it's on one hand it's like very sad, but on the other hand it's like Balaji was talking about this like a couple of years ago. So I think it's just good to listen to him. You know, like just to be better safe than sorry. You know.
Yeah.
And so in the US, there is this meme of like American dynamism, which is a really nice and positive and good meme. But it's like, I don't know if it's like too little, too late, or maybe they will wake up for some, but it's like, it's like these like weak men create hard times, and hard times create strong men create good times, and good times create weak men. So like, but I think now we are still in this like in these good times, creating weak men, or maybe now we are in the weak men creating bad times.
I think we are in the weak men creating good bad times.
Yeah. But I think I mean, it's kind of is a circle, but like until people live through the hard times in the West, they will not learn their lesson, and they will. It's like the Venezuela or Argentina story, or a Lebanon story that we discussed before. But I think until they really like the Western Europe and the Western kind of world, like the US, if they once they really go through some hardships, and I wish them all the best. I don't wish them to go through some kind of hardship, but like they need to become like pro business and pro tech again. But I think they will have only incentive to do it like when they experience a collapse, like the San Francisco is collapsing, but the people are still having this attitude like fu Elon kind of attitude, and Miami, the mayor Francis Suarez has this attitude of how can I help, like very pro business, pro tech, like humble kind of trying to be helpful. And you need to learn. I mean, it's I think it's possible, like for I don't know, maybe Switzerland or Liechtenstein is also like thinking about like doing something with crypto, so I mean it's possible for some countries. I mean, I would wish Slovakia would be also pro crypto, but it's I think it's just
it's scary,
it's maybe too early. Yeah,
but it's also scary to see like like a bigger, or the superpower country like US, scaring their own, for example, innovators or founders, and these founders, they see like US is not the best place to do business. Now they have to shift, their companies to another friendly locations, or friendly jurisdictions, and actually it's not happening only on the tech world, but also in the social world, where like I was reading somewhere like even they are called passport bros, so passport bros, these are guys who like get out from America or from other countries where like women, they are not that value friendly, they're not that traditional women, they are more of modern women, so they're moving to countries where they are more of traditional women or women who have values, so and this is like making a very big shift, like for these countries, like for example US, they are losing like resources in terms of human resources and also in terms of tech,
Okay, and so they're called passport bros.
Like, passport bros.
It's funny. It's like tech bros, crypto bros, passport bros. Yeah. I mean, like Andrew Tate is like, I think, an extreme example. I mean, I don't follow him that closely like recently, but I know that he has been in jail for something. But he's interesting in a way that he's like, I think, living this life of having multiple passports, but even like I think different names on those passports, which is strange, but I think it's like possible to do it in some countries. Like, I don't know why he's doing it, but in this way, I guess it's I mean, I don't know, I think it goes back to some you can be still like tracked and traced through like what is it, biometric things like iris scans. So I don't think you can like, like the social I think the social defense, it's in a way, I think it's not really for an individual. It's like what I mean, it's not that easy for an individual, right? I mean, going to a friendly jurisdiction is one thing, but it's also creating like a friendly community, so it's like something like
I get
it's
it.
like the sovereign collective, like and within this sovereign collective, you can kind of like merge with the crowd. So it's like a high trust society. People trust you, they know you, but like they don't need to scan your iris or something. They know they might just know you by your nickname or pseudonym or something, so but like they trust you because they know you for a long time, or they know your output on the internet as well, and like in real life.
So I get it. So social defense is more of like now, you can't do it alone. I think it was Balaji. I was listening to Balaji or somewhere or someone else. I think it was Balaji. We were saying like because US is a sovereign, so individuals can't fight sovereign. So they have to go say for to a friend, say a jurisdiction which is friendly, whereby they can come together as say 10 million people like working in the same say, for example, Dubai city. Now, from there, they can fight now, for example, say, this sovereign by, so this will be two sovereign fighting together. So it's like you cannot fight, say, a robot with a human being. So you have to fight another robot which can fight together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like when it's like a giant, like a country is like a giant monster or robot with infinite hit points, like so because it's not just like one person that you can like, let's say, unperson or like vilify or like cancel. Yeah, but it's like I mean, infinite hit points, meaning it's like it's some kind of like bureaucracy, like in a nameless bureaucracy, it's like an agency. You even don't know who is the boss of the agency, and even if you replace the boss, you don't know all the bureaucrats which who are like 3 levels below. It's like, it's the idea of the deep state. It's
Yeah.
just like you know uh, yeah, I mean, it's true, like, so I think you need to have like a deep network state to fight the deep state. It's just like,
Yeah.
that's the idea. Yeah, I
And
mean, to have.
actually, it was Balaji who was talking at the Tokyo programmer. I
Yeah,
remembered.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I heard it. Yeah, it's like some monster, some like Japanese kind of based movie based
Yeah.
on some Japanese stories, and the humans they build a robot to fight these monsters, these huge monsters. Yeah,
Yeah.
but basically it's like you want to move to a crypto-friendly jurisdiction or jurisdictions. Yeah, so you can be protected as an individual, but it's also like the sovereign collective. It's like maybe a smaller group of people who can cooperate together. But let's say if you, yeah, it's like a Brian Armstrong, like trying to basically protect Coinbase, from like being totally destroyed, let's say, by some US regulators. Since it's a public company, like I also held like some small share of, like I bought it on Revolut, so like because I believed in the company. I think I still have a bit. So and he's trying to, he was always like, we will be onshore. We will stay in the US. We will not establish some offshore kind of operation. Like a crypto company like FTX was offshore, in the Bahamas.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
even
and
Binance also, like
yeah, is
it's in
Binance
Dubai.
is in Dubai, and also we discussed yesterday about Kraken Bank, and I was like, but did they get a US license? I was like, I don't think so. Like I thought, like it's like 90%. I think it's an offshore operation, but I wasn't sure. I didn't check yet. So it's like, I don't know. We can check, but like Kraken Bank, they have also like a bank now, but probably it's offshore. It's like most likely it's offshore. It's like,
Okay.
let me check. Okay, so Kraken Bank, like as what I googled now, I think they have a state charter in Wyoming, but they are not like, they don't have some federal approval. It's like, I think it's similar as to Custodia. Probably it's this similar situation.
Thank you, Jakub, for your time and for joining me again on Turbo Desk and for giving your insights on this episode. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Duke. I'm happy that we are we are recording this daily Balajism series together, and like so, and we keep going and learning new things and new concepts together. So thank you for this journey together, and see you soon.
Thank you too. See you soon. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. We hope you enjoyed the conversation with Jakub Simek. Please don't forget to subscribe, give this episode a thumbs up, and be sure to come back next week for another episode. Until then, this is Jakub Mtambo, and don't forget to do good always.